Carnivore Biscuits, take 1, 2, and 3. In fact, this will be all of the takes because we got to get it right the first time because I just have enough stuff for one batch. All right, having been on the carnivore diet now since the first of the year, every now and then you get a hankering from biscuits. And I have two great memories of biscuits. One when I was a kid, Mom made biscuits for us, but then when we'd go camping, we'd make Bisquick biscuits. Those were the best because you could put margarine and honey on them and think you were great. And then the last few years I've spent making and mastering making really good biscuits with einkorn flour. And the family, everybody loves my einkorn biscuits. Well, they're not on the carnivore diet. So when I saw this recipe on YouTube, it's like, let's make this work. So this is a almost total protein carnivore biscuit that's actually pretty darn good. So the main ingredient in it is this thing called total milk protein, okay? I think this is the only one there is, total milk protein. Now all it is milk protein concentrate with casein and whey. So if you've got dairy issues, this may not be the best option, but occasionally it might just be the treat worthwhile. Now, this makes these biscuits a little bit expensive. I'll just tell you that up front. It's $19 for this bag, and it will make about 7 of the batches I'm going to make. So you can get like 7 batches for $19. That means that this batch of biscuits is about $3. So you might not want to do it all. It's not as cheap as white flour and Crisco is what I'm getting at, but they make a nice little add-on treat. So what we do is we're taking 3/4 a cup of total milk protein, not whey protein. You need the total milk protein, okay? 3/4 a cup of that. And I've added to that 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. I've already stirred that in. And we're gonna add 1 egg. So I've got the egg ready to go here. We're just gonna mix that in with this and get this going. Now this is an interesting protein powder. We may have to speed this video up periodically to make it work, but we'll do it live time because this makes a very interesting consistency. And when I was making it the first couple times, like, this is weird because it does not look like grandma's biscuits. Okay, but so this is coming together. It's getting kind of crumbly. Alrighty. Now to this, we're going to add about a cube of butter. All right, now I've got about 80 grams of butter right here. You can do 2 things with this. You can melt it and just pour it in, but the secret for making my flaky einkorn biscuits was a trick I learned from America's Test Kitchen. You can take your butter, and it's cold. This just came out of the fridge, and my hands are getting greasy, so we're gonna get a paper towel and grease-proof my hands. So we're just going to shred this. Now, in the old days, we used to cut it in with this, which we'll do, but this makes it go so much faster. We're just gonna mix this in, and I'm doing a little bit more. I've got about 80 grams of butter here. If you have a scale, which is just a little less than a cube. But the butter is gonna be what makes this work. And when you're on a carnivore diet, everybody loves butter, because butter is a good fat that we need to make this work. And we get the grass-fed butter from Costco. They have 2 brands. They both work well. Okay. And I was going to do this ahead of time, but I want you to see how you do it. We'll just work this in. Okay. So we've got the butter in here. So far, so good, right, everybody? This is pretty easy. So we've got a bunch of butter. Butter makes everything better. Not only the bitter batter, but the carnivore biscuits. Butter is God's gift to man. Not margarine, but butter. Okay? Now, you got a choice here. You've got 2 choices. I'm going to add about 1/3 cup of manchego cheese. You can use any cheese you want or not use cheese. But the cheese gives it a little bit more of a, just a little bit, it just makes them a little bit more, it makes them a little bit more better. But if you don't like cheese, don't use cheese. But when we cook them out, it's going to help them, the consistency a little bit. So about 1/3 cup of cheese. Okay. Now, what we have is crumbly dough. Okay. The butter, everything is like real crumbly. I'm trying to keep this cold. This will not roll out like regular biscuits. And so now we have to bring it together with cold water. It's going to be about 1/4 cup. What I've noticed is you kind of have to adjust it as you go, because we got to get to a consistency where these will turn into little balls together. Also important, that you washed your hands before you did these. At this point, Cheryl, I don't remember, but I'm just looking at it going, I'm pretty sure they're getting clean now, but I'll eat all the biscuits myself, so it'll be okay. And we'll just eat the biscuits with more butter. Okay, we're just about there. I'm going to put just a little bit more water in this. Okay, and so the important thing is you see that we're getting a nice little texture. I tried rolling these out. That doesn't work real well. Okay, now we are going to put them on a little baking tray, and we should get about a dozen of them. So they're going to be kind of like drop biscuits, and we don't want to squeeze them together too much because they're going to kind of melt all that butter together. So we just need to get them so that they actually hold together in a little ball that's not too crumbly. And I made these for dinner guests one time. Everybody's pretty nervous about what we're going to get. If you have a lot of guests coming, make them smaller. They'll go further. And but if you're doing them just for yourself, make them big because they're going to hold the butter better. Okay, and we'll just keep filming this, but we may have to speed this part up. Okay, and the oven is going to get at 325 for 10 minutes. Now you got to be careful with ovens because they're all different. Our Brevail, which I use, cooks differently than the oven does, but 325 seems to work just about right. And what you have to do with these is you got to play with them a little bit to get the texture you like. Each time I've made them, they've come out a little bit different. That's okay because cooking is about having fun. And when you cook carnivore, you're not baking. You got to use some things that are fun and different. And these biscuits are just a fun thing to play with. The cheese is helping hold them together. The extra butter I put in this time, usually I do about 60 grams of butter, but this time I decided to do a little bit more butter. I think I'm going to like that better. Better to have more butter than less butter. Okay, beautiful. All right, I'm going to go turn the oven on to 325. We're going to put these in for 10 minutes, and I will follow up with you after I've washed my hands to clean up the kitchen and they've come out of the oven. 10 minutes, 325 in the Breville, which is our favorite way to cook. And here we go. Look at that. I did not even have to put butter on the top of them. They are golden, delicious looking. So we're going to let those cool for about 10 minutes. You could eat them hot, but we're going to let them cool just a little bit, and then we will sample them for you. They're not the prettiest my einkorn biscuits, but when you got a hankering for biscuits, these are a win. All right, we got a lot going on in the kitchen today, but we have biscuits for the rest of the evening, so these came out great. Again, they're not the world's best looking biscuit, but if you haven't had a biscuit for a long time, this is magnificent. And we're just going to put a little butter on it because, well, that's just how you eat biscuits, and let's see how we did. They're airy. They're not flaky, but they definitely meet the need for a biscuit. A little bit of jam or a little bit of honey, they would be great. And if you serve them hot, they'll be even better. The last time I made them, they're hot. The cheese just makes them a little bit chewier than not putting the cheese in it, but you now have a biscuit to serve with your meal that's 100% carnivore. That was quick, and that was easy, and that's what I call a forest win.